And so England have found their successor to Southgate. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's ESPN FC Live. Mark Donaldson, Shaka Hislop, James Olley. No need for the introductions for this pair as yet. We're going to get straight to it. James Olley has hot-footed it back from Wembley Stadium. Thomas Tuchel was appointed earlier today, held his press conference. And guess who had the first question to Mr. Thomas Tuchel? It was our very own James Olley. Let's hear.
Hi, Thomas. Congratulations. It's been widely reported that you've signed an 18-month contract. Is that true, firstly? And secondly, if so, how do you feel about potentially only having one shot at a tournament?
Well, let's see. It's 18 months, and then we agreed to sit together, and then we see. I mean, I have good experience with 18 months personally. Unfortunately, also sometimes I'm working on my long-term game, but you never know. The point was in this particular case that it was important for me to have a frame around it, because it's a little bit a step into the unknown for me. I am used to work on a daily basis with the staff. I'm used to work with a daily basis on the team, to have the influence on 60, 80 people in a training camp on every single day, to be 3 days a week away in hotel rooms and prepare matches. And this will be very different. So like the last piece of bit for me to understand that this is something that can really excite me to the fullest, and was the time frame of 18 months. To not also and to also to demand from myself to not lose the focus for all of us. So I think it's a good time frame, because it will help us to focus. We are focused on the qualification and on the World Cup. It will help us in the nomination process. It will help us in the communication towards the players within the staff. So I think this is now very streamlined and very easy to explain. We are here to work on the best possible outcome for the World Cup 26. And then let's see. Whatever comes.
Okay, James, how was your first experience of Thomas Tuchel, England manager?
Yeah, good. I mean, nice to see him again in some respects. I mean, obviously, I've covered him a lot when he was at Chelsea, and he's always good in a press conference. His answers are detailed and long, as they were there. But yeah, I thought he handled himself very well. And the reason why I kind of asked about the contract situation is because I think it sort of strikes to the heart of what an agreement this is on all sides. You know, this is a short-term decision based solely on winning and nothing else. And it marks a shift really for the Football Association, because obviously Gareth Southgate was very much a kind of continuity candidate in many regards when he got the job, insofar as he was an FA man. He'd been, he'd come through sort of the coaching regime at St George's Park. I know he'd been a manager before that, but I mean, he'd worked at St George's Park for a number of years, and he was an FA guy. And what he did in those 8 years was take England very, very close and increase their level of expectation that got them to a point where people now expect England to go and win these tournaments. And okay, they almost did that in the summer, but they kind of did it almost in spite of themselves. You know, they didn't play well. It was the mood around the camp wasn't great. Yes, they got to the final and they almost pulled it off, but it just felt as though they were missing something. And in the FA's view, that is now that Southgate's no longer in the picture, just that elite coach who, as he said in that answer there, wanted a very simple, very focused, very narrow target, which is 18 months, 15 or so meaningful matches, if you're taking qualification and then the tournament itself, and one target, and that is it, to win the World Cup. And this is a departure really from how England managers have talked in the past, how the FA have talked in the past. And Tuchel, as he says there, it's a step into the unknown for him in terms of understanding international football. He doesn't know necessarily if his methods can work. But I think all parties are going into this with their eyes open. It's not as if the FA have gone and said, right, have a 5-year contract, or Tuchel's even wanted to have that. I think they've all said, look, we've got a group of players here we think can go and win this tournament. This is an elite manager who's got a good track record of bringing teams together and winning things in a short time frame. As he says, it doesn't tend to go longer than 18 months or 2 years very often. So let's put 2 and 2 together and hope it makes 4.
Okay, Shaka, 10 candidates were interviewed according to the FA chief executive. Firstly, do they have the best one available? And secondly, is this a gamble? Because he's never done international football before.
Oh, the second part is easier to answer. Certainly, it is a gamble. But then it's a gamble that most national teams take. When national teams, regardless of who they are, regardless of their expectation or anything we saw, start interviewing candidates to take over as a head coach, more times than not, at least 85-90% of that shortlist would not have managed an international level, and it's pretty much a job that most learn kind of as it goes along. So I don't see that as being an issue or a determining factor as to who was the best candidate. I think Thomas Tuchel has proven himself to be an incredible manager, and yes, he's had some stumbles along the way, but who hasn't? But given his successes, and I'm thinking primarily at Chelsea before the takeover, and well, in my opinion, I think an unfair dismissal, or at the very least, desperately premature. So I have no problem with Thomas Tuchel as an England manager. I understand the concerns, maybe because I understand the English fan mindset. It's not one I necessarily share, especially coming from Trinidad and Tobago. But I know how the English fans think, and to James's point that all of a sudden England are going into international tournaments with an expectation to win. I think that growth in expectation has been, if there has been growth in expectation, has been largely outside of England. Because in my experience, every single tournament, every single England fan expected England to win.
Okay. Shaka was born in the UK, represented Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Scottish, but a dual citizen with America. So, James, as the kind of only Englishman who identifies as English, a proud Englishman as well, how do you look back on this back page of an English tabloid overnight? A dark day for England. 3 lines gamble on a German in capital letters. This isn't 1974, but Tuchel only has 18 months to prove he's up to it. As a kind of member or a former member of the mainstream media, what's your take on this?
Well, you put me in a very difficult position there, because I know a lot of people at the Mail. Some of them are, former colleagues of mine. I mean, I was surprised when I saw it. I think it's an overreaction. I don't think it's reflective of the general consensus within the mainstream media, as you describe it. I think they're playing to the gallery to some extent. And if you look at where that newspaper is at the front of the book, I think it's probably more reflective of that than anything else. I mean, it speaks to a certain group of people who will greet this appointment with a degree of skepticism. And there is some weight, I think, to the argument that, international football should be the best of ours against the best of yours. And I can see some credence to that. But, this is not the first time that England have done this, obviously. I mean, this is the third men's manager. England's women's team currently have a Dutch woman in charge who's been very successful. And, if you go to the other sports with England, the England cricket team have lent quite heavily on South Africa and New Zealand and, other parts of the world that, Owen Morgan was the one-day captain, was Irish by birth. So, we've had a lot of these situations in a lot of other sports. I do think that this is exacerbated a bit more because Thomas Tuchel is German, and there's no getting around the fact, without going into too much of it, that there is clearly a lot of history, and a lot of it negative, between Germany and England. Now, if we restrict that to just the football side, you think about the penalty shootouts, you go back to 1990 to 1996, these kind of real seminal, painful moments in English football history. England suffered badly at the hands of the Germans, and there is a lingering resentment about that has sort of bled into the FA, not to the FA, sorry, to the fan culture around the team today. So that's what that is trying to speak to, I think. Now, whether the travelling fans are that bothered about a German being in charge, I don't know. I think we have to be honest and say that some of them sing anti-German songs still. I heard it this summer. They sing them at most away games. That's relating to history outside of football, of course, to the World Wars. And so the fact that there are some people who would prefer for an English candidate and an Englishman to lead England. This obviously, as I say, is exacerbated by the fact that he's German. But look, if he wins the World Cup, will anyone really care about this? What I really hope is if he goes and wins the World Cup and that back page becomes sort of immortalised for all the wrong reasons, if you like, that how we judge this guy straight away before a ball's been kicked and he's come in, and it's not as if he doesn't know the league. It's not as if he's always been very gracious when he's spoken about the Premier League and about English football and about England in general. I remember when he joined Chelsea and he talked a lot about watching English football on TV growing up, about how he supported Tottenham as a youngster because that was the team he watched sort of more than any other. So it's not as if we're jettisoning in somebody who's got no grounding in the game whatsoever, no real interest in English football. I was surprised that they rushed to judgment in the way that they did. But as I say, that is unfortunately a publication that plays to the gallery a lot, particularly at the front of the book.
Shaka Hislop.
That headline at its best is sensational, but we've come used to tabloids sensationalizing so much of not just football, not just sport, but everyday society. At its worst, it's and I skew more to this being at its worst. It's desperately xenophobic, and I still can't believe, and I still can't believe that this type of headline is printed in 2024, given everything that we've kind of been discussing and kind of enduring around race, around xenophobia, political discourse, which I hesitate to go down that alley on this kind of show, but we saw the worst of it play out, certainly in terms of political elections over the last 5 or 6 years. And again, I'll echo what James just said, because I think he's absolutely right. This is playing to a gallery that I think is while it's still vocal, a gallery that's very minimal and growing more so as we go along. So I can't understand or explain the need to continue to pander to that particular gallery.
Sven-Göran Eriksson, Fabio Capello, and now Thomas Tuchel, 3 non-English managers of the men's national team. Now, since England won the World Cup in 1966, 11 Englishmen have tried and all have failed to replicate what they did in 66 and win a major trophy. So they've appointed what they consider the best available. 11 trophies in his last 4 jobs. Let's hear from the man himself when he was asked the question about not being English, but in charge of the English national men's team.
There'll be many England fans who are very excited about your arrival, given your vast experience, the trophies you've won, your pedigree. What would your message be, though, to those fans who would have preferred the England team to be managed by an English coach? And do you understand their position? I'm
sorry, I just have a German passport, but I can just tell them, and all of these supporters also felt my passion for the English Premier League, my passion for the country, how I love to live here and how I love to work here. So my memories are on the highest level of that played a huge role. And hopefully I can convince them and show them and prove them that I'm proud to be the English manager. I will do everything to show respect to this role and to this country. And the target for the next 18 months is nothing else than the biggest one in world football, and everyone can be assured of, no matter what nationality my passport says. Yeah, I understood from Mark that it's a personal decision. First of all, if you sing it, and there were managers who sang it and others who didn't. I have not made my decision yet. I want to be very honest with you. Your anthem is very moving. The English anthem is very moving. I experienced it several times here at Wembley and even out with the players in a FA Cup final. So it was very touching. No matter what decision I will take, we have a bit time until March. I will always show my respect to my new role, to the country, and of course to a very moving anthem. But as this is a new subject, I will take a little bit time for this decision.
Okay, very diplomatic there when asked about the anthem. But we've just spent time talking about a hideous back page. You've got news editors who've asked journalists, or journalists themselves who want to know, are you going to sing the anthem? They did the same with Lee Carsley. They got a back page out of this. James, not you, but are there members of the media, the press, who are not out to get the English manager or the manager of the English team, but certainly do not help when it comes to the success of what is a very talented bunch of players, but at times is certainly not helped by what these people and the fans wake up to and see as back page headlines?
Well, I think what this comes down to is a question of what do we want from our England manager? What do we actually expect from an England manager? And the people I think you're referring to expect the manager to be a statesman-like figure, to be able to comment on issues that transcend football, really. And Gareth Southgate was one of the best, certainly the best in the almost 20 years I've covered England, the best by some distance of being able to manage that. When you think about how well he spoke about so many different issues, whether it was taking a knee, whether it was COVID, whether it was the tensions between the West and Russia before the 2018 World Cup, almost every time I went into a press conference thinking this is going to be a difficult one for Gareth, he would come out and you'd sort of think, he's actually, not only has he answered that really well, he's kind of made everybody in the room think and reflect. Now, the national anthem is going to become an issue because people think, well, you're representing your country. The national anthem is played before every game. Everybody who is representing that country in that context, we would like them to sing the anthem in an ideal world. It doesn't particularly matter to me. I suspect it doesn't matter to a lot of people. Look, if I had to state a preference, I'd say I'd probably rather everybody sang it. But am I going to hold it against anyone, or am I going to, call for someone to be dropped because of it, or a manager not to be selected for the role because of it? No. I mean, I do think it's an interesting point that Tuchel's not starting work until January the 1st. When he's out of work at the moment, he could easily have come straight into that role and started for the November friendlies. But of course, what happens in November? Remembrance Sunday. And what happens around Remembrance Sunday? When people wear poppies. And there's a big debate about that. And that has been a big issue in the past. And I have no idea. I don't have any information on that. Officially, the FA say we always wanted to give Lee Carsley these three, September, October and November, these three international windows to manage the Nations League. But you do sort of start to think about the issues you're talking about there, the bigger picture stuff. Is Tuchel straight away going to come in and have to deal with something like that? Not only the national anthem, but is he going to wear a poppy? All this kind of stuff. Now, as I say, Gareth Southgate was fantastic at all of this, but ultimately people hounded him out of the job because he didn't deliver a trophy. What do we want? Do we want Thomas Tuchel to come in and handle all of this stuff really brilliantly and yet not win the 2026 World Cup? Or do we want to give him some leeway and accept the fact that, particularly as a non-Englishman, he won't understand the nuances of some of this kind of, complex historical or socio-economic issues or whatever we want to get the England manager to talk about, but know that what we're losing there, hopefully we're gaining in a manager who's got the tactical acumen to deliver a World Cup. And that, I think, should be where the focus is. And I would hope that because the contract is relatively short, because we're not talking about a manager who's coming in, they're not talking about transition. They're not talking about young players. They're not talking about 4, 6, 8 years or putting a new clock into St. George's Park with a countdown to, the World Cup 2034. We're talking about 18 months away. The next men's tournament that England seniors play, England want to win that. So the focus should be on that. And I would hope that Tuchel isn't sort of tied up in knots with the off-field stuff and all the other things that we expect of an England manager to comment on between now and then.
Shaka, there are two sides to every story. 39 times there have been winners of the World Cup or the European Championships. Just once has the manager of the winning team not been from the country that won it. That was Otto Rehhagel in 2004. So I can see and I can totally get why there are those that say, hey, 38 of 39 have had someone who knows what it's like to win the trophy, World Cup or European Championship, having been born there. However, you want an English manager? I've just given you 11 managers who have not been successful since 1966 in doing so. And there has never been a successful English manager in the Premier League who has won that title. So is it a case of best man available, and that's what they've got, the FA, in Thomas Tuchel?
I think so. I think if that's the remit, and again, James understands these issues and these decisions and the concerns and certainly articulates them as well as anybody. Gareth Southgate handles so much of that England manager's job with seamlessly, but his failure to deliver major silverware, though getting to finals, ultimately cost him, and may be well long term. We'll figure it out, but kind of shape his legacy about how good or not he was. So ultimately, if that is the previous manager's experience, and you're trying to move away or move on further from that, the next step is finding the best person to deliver silverware. And Thomas Tuchel has done that at clubs that he's been at. And listen, I totally understand. I totally understand the concern. Well, he did it at club level, but he's never done it at international level. But you know, I told you what I think about that. That's always a difficult kind of remit. You know, there are jobs that people apply for, step into, that nobody's ever done before. Don't get me started talking politics here. But you're expected to step up, learn on the job, and deliver on what you were brought in to do. So I am neither here nor there, and again, being from Trinidad and Tobago, a smaller international team, we regularly have foreign coaches. I don't see it as that much of an issue. I will want to kind of go back to something that you raised there, Mark, and that's the singing of national anthems, which is something I've always kind of balked at, and the kind of focus, certainly by media and some in the fan base, about singing the national anthem, and you have to kind of and we've seen you know, those players who've sang at the tops of their voices and been in tears, and we've also seen players who have not, and you can even counter that with the Spain national team, who don't have words to sing.
Exactly.
And as I reflect on my own time as a player, I recognize that when I went to watch Trinidad and Tobago play, or when I was on the bench, I would sing the national anthem. But when I was starting and out on the field, and the camera's kind of panning down as it always does, I don't recall ever singing the national anthem. And that's because when I'm on the field, when I'm getting ready to play a football game, I'm just in a totally different headspace. Now, again, I say that this is very personal to me. Other players do things personally to them. But I have just, as I think about all those situations, and I've been a fan sitting in the stand, I've been on the bench, and I've been in starting lineups, and each of those are very different for me, and I react differently when I hear the Trinidad and Tobago national anthem in each of those.
There'll be a lot more on Thomas Tuchel. Sorry, James, on you go.
Well, I just wanted to pick up just on the back of that. I just think one other thing is worth saying when we talk about these sort of bigger picture issues, you know, and how good Gareth Southgate was at talking about it. The consequence of that was that Mark Bullingham the FA chief executive. I mean, if I said to you, could you name me the current FA chairman?
No.
So the FA chair is a woman, Debbie Hewitt. Okay, and I honestly think if you said to 100 people in the street in England, name the FA chair, I doubt 10-15% of people could do it.
I could tell you that Eric Dyer's grandfather was the former FA secretary Ted Croker, and that's true. It's true,
and that's equally relevant to this debate. But what I would say, but the point I'm making is that we don't hear enough from these senior decision makers at the FA, and I think because Gareth Southgate was so good on these big issues, they didn't need to speak up. You very rarely heard Mark Bullingham speak. You very rarely heard. I mean, I've trying to think. Debbie Hewitt. I'm not sure how long she's been in the role. 4 years, 3-4 years. I've never interviewed her. I don't think she's ever done anything with us. The sort of round table, the sort of media generally, and I covering them fairly closely, about as close as most people at the core of it. And I've never done a sit down with her on the record. She's been at the odd briefing, and I've got to know her a little bit at sort of various functions and things. But you don't hear her stating the FA's position on things. And I think with Thomas Tuchel, I think a consequence of appointing him now is that he's going to need a bit of help with that. And I think something that the FA are going to need to look at over the next 18 months is maybe making the chair and the chief exec a little bit more front and centre on these bigger issues. So when they come up, Thomas Tuchel can sit in a press conference and say, well, this isn't for me, this is for the chief executive, or the chairperson has already spoken about this. I don't need to do this. And because I saw it with Southgate for over those 8 years, he took it all on his shoulders because he felt he had to. And by the end, the last sort of year, 18 months, he stopped kind of engaging on this sort of, you remember the furore about the St George's Cross on the back of the New England shirt, and paper planes being thrown. I remember asking him about the sort of paper planes being thrown at Wembley. He'd give a good answer about that sort of thing in the past and trying to engage the nation and all this. He just thought, do you know what? There's no point anymore because there's always going to be something. There's always going to be another thing that's going to be thrown at me that I'm going to have to try and answer. And I do think that is something that the FA need to look at now. That they need to just step up. The leadership needs to step up a little bit more and help Thomas Tuchel with these kind of things. So it's not just his voice out there alone trying to fend off all these questions left, right, and centre, while he's also trying to build a team to win a World Cup.
I still think Debbie would be easier to get a hold of than the 18-year president of the FA and current patron. If you just put a call into Prince William and maybe see what he's up to. So maybe Debbie would be...
I'll drop him a text. Well
done. Final one on this one, and my thanks as well to James and to Shaka. We will have a Messi Mastermind coming up. It's a slightly longer show today, but I hope you understand why, with the quality of content provided by James and Shaka, certainly meritorious to what we're doing here. But we will have more on ESPN FC every single night, but of course tonight on Thomas Tuchel, more from the press conference that James attended. But I want to end this little segment. I've done a little bit of research here, Shaka, about all the reasons why Thomas Tuchel's been appointed. But one of them, for a man who's got a biography called Rule Breaker, which, again, that's for FC. You guys can take all that. Dan can throw grenades. Nothing to do with me. One thing I came upon is in knockout stages, when Thomas Tuchel has been manager in his career, he's won 77.5% of games. England qualify for everyone, all the major tournaments. Then they get to the knockout stages. Now they've got themselves a proven winner at the knockout stages. That would have been something they took into account, Shaka, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And again, international football is very different from club football in so many regards. One of those being knockout stages, and certainly one-off games in those knockout stages. But again, you kind of counter that with Gareth Southgate's recent successes, certainly in terms of the knockout stages of international tournaments and getting to finals is no mean feat. It's just being able to close the deal that where Gareth Southgate came unstuck. Once by penalties, once in an extra time, and so there is just that. It's that final yard is what Thomas Tuchel has been brought in to deliver for England. That final yard in just getting over the line, and finally maybe we can move on from that work of victory some 60 years ago.
Longest major title droughts since winning the World Cup, 57 years for England. My thanks to James Olley. My thanks to Shaka Hislop. Appreciate your time today, gents. And a reminder that ESPN FC will have far more tonight on Thomas Tuchel. I was trying to think of a segue as we say farewell to Shaka and to James. How do we go from Thomas Tuchel to Lionel Messi? I don't know is the answer, but I'm going to give you a Messi Mastermind quiz hosted by Luis Miguel Echegaray for the next 10 minutes and see which of the experts knows the most about a man who got a hat-trick for Argentina, another one in a World Cup qualifier last night. Take it away, LME.
I've got 10 questions about Messi's career. Some will be names, some will be numbers. We'll add up all the correct answers, and if we have a tie at the end, there will be a tiebreaker to determine our Messi Mastermind champion. Thumbs up if you are all ready.
We are.
Oh, yeah.
And he's at the ready.
I love it. All right, here we go. Question 1. Who did Messi replace as a sub when he made his debut 20 years ago today? A little time.
You can tell if they're hitting the internet as well, by the way.
I know, I'm checking.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
everybody ready for the answer? Show it up on the screen if you have it. Let's see. Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
Very good. Very good. All right. And the answer is the Deco, of course, in the 82nd minute of the 1-0 win over Espinal. Deco is the answer. Fantastic. Question number 2. Which former Barcelona player said this? Once they said they can only stop me with a pistol. Today, you need a machine gun to stop Messi. Who said that? When you're ready, throw those answers on the screen. Oh, there's a lot of thinking here, but there's a lot of really forceful writing as well. I'll give you a clue. It's a forward.
No idea.
Let's see. Okay, there's a lot of love for Samuel Eto'o, which is a very good... I love how Rob... okay, 2. Ronaldo. Did you put... Who's that? Ronaldinho? Yeah.
I just if you put that off, and then if you say Ronaldinho, I'm just going to put that straight in there.
Well, neither is correct. It's Hristo Stoichkov is the one that said that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Here we go. Question 3. Leo made 219 appearances under Pep Guardiola. That's just unbelievable, everybody. 219 appearances under Pep Guardiola. How many goals did he score?
Can I have a calculator here?
Well, you have your iPhone, right? It's in the iPhone.
Yeah,
all right, show the answers when you have them.
26,
Okay, we got 195 from Graham Hunter. We've got 220 from Sam Marsden. Rodri has 200.
Just 176.
Oh, see, Rob Palmer's waiting for everybody's answer.
I'm trying to add them up. I've got them here for the seasons. I just need to add them up. Mental arithmetic. Tell me there's going to be a mental arithmetic on this one. 215 I'm going for.
Oh, 215. Not bad, everybody. The correct answer is 211. 211. 211.
I went from 210 to 220.
I know! Sam!
Nearest wins, yeah? Nearest wins.
Nearest wins. We absolutely, at this point, we'll see. All right, question 4. When Diego Maradona died, Messi paid homage by lifting his shirt in the celebration to reveal which kit. Go ahead, Sammy, put it up if you got it. If you got the answer, go ahead, you can post it. Oh, actually, good, well done. You went away.
Well, I don't think anyone's getting this one. I think everyone's getting this one.
Yes, I think everybody should know that one. Oh, Graham, no, Graham got it. Yeah, it's everybody. Graham got this one wrong, everybody. I'm actually surprised because, as Sam said, old boys.
You tipped the wrong horse Roger tipped the wrong horse at the beginning of the race.
Question 5. Messi holds the record for the most goals in a calendar year in 2012. How many did he score?
No idea. Pure guesswork.
All right, we've got 92, 98, 93, 91. The answer is 91, Rodri.
Any of these?
All right, question 6. Who assisted Messi's famous header in the 2009 Champions League final? Of course, it was against Manchester United. who they beat, and who was it? All right, the answer's already written very quickly by Graham Hunter. We'll see if everybody else got it. All right. And
I got it right. I could have cheated and just copied what they'd written, but
no, the answer is Xavi. Of course, Xavi is the answer. Messi calling it one of his most important goals. Question 7. Messi is the top scorer ever in La Liga with 474 goals. Who did he pass to take the record in November 2014? You got it up there, Sammy? I feel
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, yeah.
All right, okay, so you're ready. So when everybody's ready, you can post it up. Some people are still thinking. All right, put it up. Put it up.
I've gone Pichichi.
All right. Well, the answer is Telmo Zarra, of course. He was on 251. Question 8. If you add up all the different shirt numbers that Lionel Messi wore at Barcelona, what is the total number? It's 3 different numbers. I'll give you a clue there. It's 3 different numbers. Sam, are you ready, Sam?
I'm ready. Ready to go, yeah.
It's a beautiful mind over here.
That GCSE maths coming in handy.
I didn't know they did it around Bernie. All right, here we go. It is, well. Let's see. All right, so put it up, buddy. Since Graham Hunter has it up, so you might as well. Some good numbers there. Rodri, I told you 3 numbers, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know the third one. So I was like, completely lost.
Some
I was
very
lose
good.
it anyway.
Some very good ones. Yeah, this is a tricky one. It's good, but my goodness, Sam Marsden, that GCSE math really did come in. The Jan Marmer is 59 because he obviously was 30-19, and then obviously when Pep Guardiola came, he went to number 10. Question 9. We're getting close here. We're getting close. Question 9. Who has assisted most of Messi's goals at Barcelona? Now think about this one. It may not be what you think. Who has assisted most of Messi's goals at Barcelona? Who has assisted most of Messi's goals at Barcelona? Put it up if you're ready. We got Dani Alves, Jordi Alba, Dani Alves, Jordi Alba. The answer is his teammate still today, Lucho Suarez, is the player that is, 47 assists for Lionel Messi's goal. Here we go. This is the final one, unless it's a tiebreaker. Question number 10. Which club in La Liga did Lionel Messi score most against? Straight away, Graham Hunter puts it up. What would you put, Sammy?
I think Graham's right, yeah.
All right,
I think Graham's right. That was
waiting for RP here. RP has Sevilla and Rodri has Sevilla, and the answer is Sevilla. In joint third place, it is Rob Palmer and Graham Hunter with 3. In second with 4. It's Sam Marsden with 4, meaning that the winner is Rodri with 5. I love the Real Madrid correspondent wins it with 5.
Thank you very much. I dedicate this award to all my teammates. It's been a pleasure to join you all. So, like this video, subscribe, and comment below.
I love it, Rodri Fez. Well done, everybody. That was your Messi Mastermind. Graham Hunter, Sam Marsden, Rob Palmer, Rodri Fez, Luis Miguel Echegaray. Let's have a go at the tiebreaker just for fun before we say goodbye. Let's see. I'll make it fun for you. I'll make it worth 5 points for everybody. Are you ready? In his 520 appearances in La Liga, 520 appearances in La Liga, that's ridiculous. How many minutes did he play? How many minutes did he play? How many minutes did Lionel Messi play from his 520 appearances in La Liga? It's the closest. All right, we've got Graham Hunter already with a very solid, confident number here from Graham Hunter. Rodri has, what is that, buddy? 1 million?
1 million. I don't know.
He's already won, so he doesn't care. 40,000. Boys, I'm very impressed. Graham Hunter, I'm very impressed. The number is 42,148 minutes.
No way.
You were off by basically half of a half. Unbelievable. Well done.
That was it. That, if I remember correctly, and the line's really bad, that was a 5-pointer.
No, I don't think
It
so.
was.
No.
I told you
I
you
think
were
that's-
going to win.
I think that's on tape. Roger, you were right again.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I mean, that's very impressive. You were off by 23 minutes.
That's all I'm ever off. But it's always 23 minutes. Always. Everything.
I love it. I love it.
look,
Excellent
I-
job. Excellent job, everybody. That was really, really good. Very impressive. I want to thank Graham Hunter, Sam Marsden, Rob Palmer, Rodri Fez, Luis Miguel Echegaray. By the way, don't forget, La Liga is only exclusively on ESPN Deportes here in the US and North America. Make sure to follow us every day on the website, YouTube, digital, wherever you are. Thank you so much and have a fantastic rest of your day.
And the reason for including that today as part of ESPN FC Live, 20 years ago today, a 17-year-old by the name of Lionel Messi, after 82 minutes of Barcelona's game against Espanyol, was told by Frank Rijkaard, "You're going on." He's had so many highs, Lionel Messi, in his career, but just one low, just one regret, that on the 28th of July, 2007, he didn't get the opportunity to join his Barcelona teammates in Scotland to play against the mighty Heart of Midlothian. Bye for now.